I can't believe when we look back at this that Ward Manuel, the athletic director, hired somebody off of Harbaugh's staff. But had he known all this ahead of time, there's no chance he'd have kept somebody from that regime to lead that program. It's bizarre. It really is. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships. The rivalries, it's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. And welcome into JUCK on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me on a Tuesday morning. We got some stuff to get into today, guys. We got some portal news. We've got some recruiting updates, a couple of other tidbits to get to as well. I had a video. I apologize for yesterday's, by the way. It came out at like noon instead of 8. That was operator error. That if you're new here, that happens often. You'll get used to it. But I had a video get there every once in a while. You get one that gets like way more views than other ones. And that's always fun when you make something and you see, oh, this one's really, really going. A lot of people are watching it. But with that comes a lot of people that don't usually watch you and don't know your style, et cetera. And, you know, they call you names and things, especially if they're from an opposing fan base. It's not always very comfortable. But one thing that I think we really need to do as a college football fan community is get doesn't know ball out of the vocabulary. Like the odds of you not knowing ball, if you say someone doesn't know ball, just go through the roof. So if you are an educated, diehard college football fan, just don't say it. Don't say that. Don't say that phrase because it's just telling on yourself that you don't know football, okay? They don't even use it in the right context. It doesn't matter what you say. UCLA, the powder blue uniforms UCLA wears are the most beautiful uniform in college football. You don't know ball. Like, what does that even mean? Let's get to the point. Top story of the day here at JUCK on Bucks. The criminals up north. Jesse Minter and Steve Clinksdale, two of Harbaugh's guys. Minter was his defensive coordinator. Clinksdale is DB coach. They left with him to San Diego. They were part of the horde that left to San Diego. They were obviously named in the big Michigan notice of allegations thing from the NCAA. Not for the advanced scouting, not for the stallion stuff, but for recruiting violations. In this list of folks that has been that was on Harbaugh's staff that have been fired, under investigation from the NCAA, under criminal investigation, just keeps adding up. I don't even know how most Michigan fans, like the most ardent Michigan defender, could even say anything anymore about the cesspool that was going on under Harbaugh. Last year when Harbaugh flew the coop to go to the NFL, he clearly decided that he was never coming back to college football. And he wouldn't be able to if he wanted to with a 4-year show cause, with the NCAA dropping this little line. Violated recruiting and inducement rules, engaged in unethical conduct, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance, and violated head coach responsibility obligations. I don't know how much more damning you could be than a statement there. Like that you just don't give a shit is what they're saying there. Now, people try to minimize this. As far as the COVID-19 stuff, they call it Burgergate. It was just a burger, man. Well, the entire country was on lockdown, and he tried to get an edge, and people disregard it because they say, it didn't matter looking back. Like, looking back, it didn't matter. Well, at the point, we didn't know anything. The NCAA said shut it down, and everybody did, except for Arizona State and Michigan that we know of. So, no, everybody doesn't do it. The way they handled it afterwards was even worse, and they got the NCAA foaming at the mouth for their non-compliance with them, for the way they handled the investigation. When you irritate people with a little bit of power over you, you get what's coming to you. But Harbaugh did whatever the hell he wanted. As far as Clinksdale and Jesse Minter, separate recruiting violations, these two guys just got themselves a couple of show causes for their recruiting violations. But again, those things only matter if they intend to come back to college football. Harbaugh doesn't. I doubt these two do either. Clinksdale and the enforcement staff agreed that after his separation from Michigan, Clinksdale failed to fully satisfy his obligation to cooperate with the investigation when he did not provide complete information during an interview, though he eventually acknowledged the violations and his involvement in them. Should Clinksdale be employed during the first year of his show cause, he'll be suspended for 50% of the regular season. As for Jesse Minter, violations involve multiple impermissible early recruiting communications with a prospect prior to June 15th of his sophomore year in high school. Minter was aware that these communications were impermissible, but did not report the violations to the school's compliance department. A 1-year show cause order for Minter, in which the employing institution must restrict him from any athletically related position. Notice how they said that did not turn them into compliance. They beat this into these guys' heads at the NCAA. If you do something wrong, tell us what you did. If you make a mistake, it happens. You'll get leniency. If you do something wrong, tell us what you did. If you make a mistake, it happens. You get leniency. Everybody self-reports these things. Every school who's serious about compliance self-reports these things. Ohio State would not have done this. They would have reported it. These guys skirted the rules any way they could, didn't comply with their compliance department, and this is what's coming. This is what's coming every time you do it. How do I know Ohio State would do it? Because I just did a show on it. Last year, Ohio State took pictures with Chris Henry Jr. before he was in his sophomore year. Professional, the photo edit pictures. That was one of them. The second one I was mad about. They reached out to a recruit who had put on Twitter that he was entering the transfer portal. And they publicly reached out, which is a clear violation because his name needs to be in that portal, not just a tweet. His name's got to be in the portal. It was not until the following morning. That's a screw up. I was irritated with that. That goes and gets self-reported. So Ohio State self-reports those two violations. And as I'm reading this, you're looking at all the programs that self-report these types of things. On that list should have been Minter and Clinksdale with this little kind of stuff. But not only do they not self-report it, they lied when they were first confronted with it. It's just a total disregard for any kind of authority or any kind of rules. And it's going to get you this. And they all know it's going to get you this ahead of time. They know if you don't self-report, you're going to get the hammer thrown on you. And getting a 1-year show cause is a huge deal if you intend to coach in college football. Obviously, they didn't, and they didn't cooperate. But the entire atmosphere around this program under Harbaugh was just, we don't give a damn. We'll do whatever the hell we want. And that's the whole point, man. They thumbed their nose at everything. They didn't give a damn. Now they're all gone. And they left the institution, the people that are there now, to deal with a pissed off NCAA that is foaming at the mouth to come after them. Because every time they came around, they basically just said, piss off. And that's why Minter and Clinksdale still got themselves show causes. And you just add that to Matt Weiss for his cyber crimes, going digging for college students that Michigan competes against, digging through their emails and their phones, looking for sex videos, allegedly, coming back year after year, taking notes, doing it at work. You got the university not even letting those kids know. And it sounds like legal action is coming their way from some of the victims. Linebacker coach Chris Partridge, fired in November 2023, still under investigation for attempting to persuade players to mislead the NCAA, in addition to impermissible on-campus training sessions with prospects. You got head coach Sharon Moore, the head coach, who negotiated a resolution for the COVID-19 violations that he was involved in, served a 3-game suspension in 2023, still being investigated for the 52 text messages deleted from Stallions. If he's found guilty of that, they could potentially get him as a repeat offender, should they choose to. So that's just the coaches on the coaching staff. That's not the support staff yet. We can go down that list too. You got head coach Jim Harbaugh on the coaching staff. You got Matt Weiss on the coaching staff, Jesse Minter on the coaching staff, Steve Clinksdale on the coaching staff, Chris Partridge on the coaching staff, Sharon Moore on the coaching staff. That is more than half of your staff that were either fired under criminal investigation or under NCAA investigation and given show causes. The support staff, you got Alex Yude. That's the creepo that was in the sting for allegedly trying to hook up with a 13-year-old girl. You got Stallions. We're not even going to get into that. You got Denard Robinson, who got fired for multiple DUIs. Then they hired a defensive line coach who got himself fired in like a week for multiple DUIs. Might not even been a week, might have been 2 days. The point is, this is the dirtiest coaching staff that's ever been publicly known in the history of college football. Like, there may have been some dirtier ones that we just didn't know about, but as far as things that we know, this is without a doubt. If you told me that 6 of 11 coaches that I just ran down, they just told me this story, I didn't know who it was, I'd say you're full of crap. There's no way you could have all these different things happening on one staff. But it's true. And it all happened at that staff for the team that just happened to win a national championship. And we haven't even broached the other thing. How do you expect anybody to believe anything that comes out of anybody's mouth up there? 2 of these allegedly sex crimes, by the way. Like, I don't even know how it's possible. And Michigan fans will look and say, look, Ohio State, everybody wants the NCAA. We hate the NCAA all our lives, and now you want the NCAA to come and fight your battle. Now we love the NCAA. That's what they say. Do you want people to openly be able to cheat and break rules? Because I don't. I want rules that everybody's expected to follow and everybody follows. If you screw up, you tell them you screwed up, you get a little punishment, you move on. That's what I want. When Ohio State does wrong, take it back to Tatgate. When Ohio State was caught up in Tatgate, did most of us feel like it was a little over the top? Yeah. But guess who we were mad at? Not the NCAA. Terrell Pryor and those dudes got ostracized. It was them everybody pointed their finger at. It was unfortunate. Looking back, really unfortunate. But the bottom line was they put the university and the program that they loved in jeopardy, knowingly breaking the rules. And everybody was mad at them because of that. When the shoe's on the other foot, you all point the finger at everybody else. And it's just bizarre, man. I wonder what Michigan folks would think about this Harbaugh crew had they not cashed in that championship. How would they feel then? I don't know. Because they go to the mattresses to defend all of this, to downplay it, to point the finger, to blame it on the NCAA, to blame it on Ohio State, Ryan Day. Everybody up there in that organization has lost all credibility and any benefit of the doubt when it comes to anything talking about anything moving forward. Like, it's all crap. I can't believe when we look back at this that Ward Manuel, the athletic director, hired somebody off of Harbaugh's staff. But had he known all this ahead of time, there's no chance he'd have kept somebody from that regime to lead that program. It's bizarre. It really is. All right, to some portal news. Last week, we talked about Troy Pikes. Troy Pikes is the kid from Georgia Southern. From Georgia Southern, went to visit Georgia first, then he came up to Ohio State. After his Ohio State visit, he said Ohio State was his number one. This is after he visited Georgia. He had one more visit to go to. That was South Carolina. Then he was going to make his decision. Now, a couple of rumors been flying around about Troy Pikes. One, Troy Pikes no longer 6'3", 290, but he's grown his freshman year at Georgia Southern up to 6'4", 310. That's the good rumor. The bad rumor, there's some kind of gun charge floating around on Troy Pikes, I guess. Can't confirm or deny if that's true, but that's what the streets are saying. An alleged gun charge. If that is true, obviously Ohio State, under Ryan Day's Buckeyes, probably not going to be cool with that. I imagine South Carolina will just be just fine with that. Either way, it doesn't make much difference to me whether they add Troy Pikes or not, because I don't think Troy Pikes is the caliber of player that is going to be able to help this 2025 team for what I think you're looking for. But there is a new option, and that's Pork Chop Kirkland. Pork Chop Kirkland, a kid from Utah, played his freshman year at Utah Tech. From there, he transferred to Oklahoma State. In 2023, 2024, he split snaps at nose tackle. This is a big mass of humanity. 6'3", 340 pounds. But quite honestly, you think automatically that must be a really chubby dude. Listen, this is not some big sloppy guy. I mean, he's got a little body fat on him for sure, but this is a strong, beastly dude. Talked to a buddy of mine, Oklahoma State fan, and he said, this guy's a fan favorite. Like, they all love him. They're really upset. His size, his hustle, his personality. It sounds like he definitely fits in with the Ohio State culture from what I've heard. Now, does he fit in with what they're looking for? In my view, and again, What I'm looking for from a one tech here is a guy who can come in and spell our man K-Mac, let him go get a breather, and there won't be some huge drop off. And by a huge drop off, I mean a run stuffing dude who can eat double teams. And at 6'3", 340 pounds, very strong, I think this guy can do it. People will point to his statistics. Well, he only had 40 tackles in the last 2 years. And people keep saying this. They said it about the kid from Watson from Syracuse. I think the deal is maybe some people don't understand that like a nose tackle is not going to get a lot of tackles. That's not what he's doing. His job is to eat up space, take on double teams, and not get blown off his spot so that Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese can come meet that back in the hole. That's his job. We want a little tiny hole. We don't want a big one. We want a little tiny one and let Sonny and Arvell come up and pound. That's what his job's going to be. Now, if you can get one who can also rush the passer and make tackles, that's a huge bonus. We're not at that position right now in the portal. We're looking for a capable backup who can eat up space, take on double teams, and be a fiery effort guy. It doesn't look, the guy's played 2 years of football, okay? 2 years of football in the Big 12, successful years. We don't currently have that in the 2 deep. We don't. Can we when the season starts with the current crew? That's the hope. Maybe you can go ahead and bring in Pork Chop and boom, right off the rip, you've now got someone who can do what you need to do as far as K-Mac, who we all love. I think he's a real freaky athlete at that size, but I don't know if he can play 50 snaps a game. Matter of fact, he can't. He could play 40. You still got another 26 snaps. You need Pork Chop. You got to get Pork Chop. I don't even know if his nickname's Pork Chop. This is my nickname for him. You got to get Pork Chop. Look at my dude here, man. Listen to this guy.
I'm excited to see exactly what they do to us, to other people. I mean, they're a good offensive line. I think we're a stinking good defensive line. I think, you know, they got a lot of maturity over there, a lot of veterans, a lot of snaps, and so there's not really anything new you could throw at those guys. They pick up, you know, blitzes, all that. You know, they see it one time, they're going to pick it up the next time, and so yeah, I'm excited to watch the Cowboys go at it. Last one.
That's an upgrade. I'm pretty confident that's an upgrade, and I'm here for it. Let's hope the Buckeyes reach out. By the way, no information that they've reached out. I'm just hoping that they do. I really am. If you haven't yet, please do like the show today. If you've not subscribed, listen, I talked to you guys a couple of weeks ago. We were on 13,000 subscribers, which is really awesome. I'm very grateful, but it's an unlucky number for me. I really don't like it. I feel like it's probably the reason Jack Sawyer got drafted by the Steelers. I've been stuck on that number. So if we could, we're like 70 away. Let's just all hit that subscribe button, get off of that number onto the 14. I don't care if we stay there forever. We just got to get off 13. Additionally, 3 times last week, we went live here at JUCK on Bucks. Those of you who had your alarm bells set got those notifications, and you were able to pop in and join us live. So if you guys all could hit those, that would be fantastic, as well as leave a comment. Just do everything for me, please. Just do everything for me. So speaking of those alarm bells, I was sitting here today doing my notes, and I'm doing my notes for the show on a computer. I got my iPad over here to the right. I got my TV over there. I got like 4 screens here. Anyway, I'm doing my notes. One of those alarm pops up from YouTube, and it's a 247 alarm. What's it say? It says Hayvon Finney is about to announce his final 3. Who's Hayvon Finney? He is a cornerback that the Buckeyes are after, of course, out of California, 4-star, top 50 overall kid. Things looking good with the Buckeyes and Hayvon Finney. Turns out Hayvon's mom's birthday today, and he wanted to surprise mom. So I cue it up, and here is what Hayvon had to say.
So I'm supposed to be announcing my top 3 schools today, but I mean, instead I'll just be committing. So with that being said, I'll be committing to LSU.
Pulled the rope-a-dope on us. Did not announce his top 3. Surprised everybody and committed to LSU. So, Hayvon Finney, now off the board. Looks like LSU got their money up after not having to pay Bryce Underwood. Good for them. So, With Finney off the board, where does that leave the Buckeyes at corner? In a class that started off with everybody saying, man, Tim Walton has got just about the easiest class you've ever seen at Ohio State. It's not often at any position group that the state of Ohio provides you three, not just Ohio State caliber guys, but three top level dudes. You had two top 100 guys in Vic Singleton and Rock Hill, and then you had Jacob Weatherspoon, who's a top 200 guy. So last class, you had Devin Sanchez, the top guy in the class. And then you had to scramble to get Jordan Woods after Naeem Offord flipped. He was the lowest guy Ohio State offered. Now, I love this dude's film. He's enormous. He's a project. He's 6'3.5". He's a hammer, a little skinny. He might end up being a safety, man. I don't know, but I really like having him on the team. But they flipped him from Cincinnati. So really, you got Devin as a true corner in that class. So you really would love to have two really good corners in this upcoming class. There's a lot of cornerbacks who want to play for Tim Walton, and he's got the Ohio State brand behind him. So who is on the board right now that is a potential here? Obviously, Vic flips out of the state to go to Illinois originally, and then he ends up committing to Texas A&M. You got Jacob Weatherspoon in the class. The Spoon Man, the lowest ranked of the three, the most versatile, the biggest hitter. He's all Buckeye all the way, committed early. I love the Spoon Man. Then, of course, you got Rock Hill, and we don't know what's up with him yet. I said that I am hoping Ohio State at some point will turn it up to 10. Well, the official visit has been scheduled, and Matt Patricia and OG Walt went and visited at the house last Thursday. So are they turning it up to 10? Sounds like they're turning it up quite a bit. That makes me excited. But the next guy, most likely, if we're to pick one out that's going to commit to Ohio State, would be Jordan Thomas out of Bergen Catholic, a great athlete, a ball hawk. He hits. He's never got a B in his life. So a very high character guy like Quincy Porter out of the same school, Bergen Catholic. He likes Ohio State. He likes Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame. This is a Midwest recruit, and I love those. We do good with those. Doesn't seem to me like Ohio State is second to anybody right now in this recruitment. With Finney off the board, you've also got Peyton Dyer. He's a 4-star top 300 player. He was committed to South Carolina. He just recently decommitted. Bucks started pushing on him. I don't think that kid's leaving the South. Then you got the one I'd really love to have, and that's Justice Fitzpatrick. And it might be because his brother's Minkah Fitzpatrick that I'm so drawn to him. But I really like his film too. He's a St. Thomas Aquinas kid. That's the Boses High School down there in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Stud 4-star, top 100 guy. He visited for the first time recently, a couple of weeks ago. He absolutely loved it. You've got Miami, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and Florida State that are up there on his list. So he's a little bit, I think, further along in his decision process. Might take us a little bit to get there, but things looking good with little Minkah. Then you got Nasir McCoy, who goes by NASCAR McCoy, out of Buford, Georgia. We love Buford High School. 6'2", 180. So tall corner. Walt loves him tall. 4-star top 300 kid. This one, I don't feel a ton of super momentum moving with this right now, but he is an option nonetheless. At safety, obviously you got Simeon Caldwell, you got Blaine Bradford, both committed. I think those are both locked in commitments. I have no worry about Bradford flipping out of that right now. Who knows if it comes down the road, but his recruitment shut down. You don't usually see people shut it down and then reopen it. I guess it could happen, right? Anything can happen this day and age, but it feels like everything he and the family have said, like these guys are locked in. Then of course you've got who they want the most after those two guys. And that's Braylon Womack, who was kind of always their number one at safety. We'll see what happens with Braylon. Looks like the Bucks are the clear leader. Almost feels too good to be true, right? Kid out of Mississippi, but things have always been good with him since day one. He's always loved Ohio State. He's been a fan of Ohio State, and it still feels great. But like I said, it does sometimes feel too good to be true. He is a kid from Mississippi. He's in on with some heavy hitters in that Final Four list. The Buckeyes are going against here. Texas A&M, Auburn, and Florida, big money guys who are going to try their damnedest to keep a prospect like him, who a lot of people view as maybe the next Caleb Downs type prospect down south with them. If you don't end up getting him, man, even if you do, I really love Donovan Webb. Donovan Webb, 3-star kid, man, I love his game. Out of Texas, you got Braylon Womack, a ball hawk. You got Bradford, who's a hammer. And then you got Donovan, who's kind of in between as far as style of play goes. If Simeon, and I think most people think Simeon eventually just gets too big, like Sonny, to play at safety, ends up moving down. It's obviously not what's planned as he walks in the door, but if that happens, you could certainly use another safety. I would love to see him get Donovan Webb regardless, but would Donovan Webb want to come and walk into a class with the number 1 and the number 2 safety? That might scare a lot of people off, but as of now, he loves Ohio State. I know he does. On the defensive line, Richie Wesley, one of the top 3 edge rushers in the country. He reclassified from 27 to 26 because he wants to hurry up and get in college. Came, visited Ohio State. He visited a bunch of the big dogs real quick. He loved his Ohio State visit. Then he went to Oregon, and immediately we have now seen a crystal ball, an intel crystal ball, pop out from Steve Wilfong to Oregon. He likes the scheme, his dad said, the way they're going to use him after Mateo Uiagalelei leaves and gets drafted next year. Richie is set to be in that spot. As for playing time, as for the defense they run, as for Dan Lanning as a coach, Tosh Lapoy being defensive-minded coaches, they're very heavily involved with the D-line. And that's all true. And it sounds like Richie's really leaning heavily there. And as I look at the potential prospects that have Oregon in their final 2, if a couple things break the right way, these guys could get a 2021 type Ohio State haul of 5 stars. They're in on a lot of 5 stars that are, Georgia and Oregon, Texas and Oregon, like a lot. But we'll see. Preston Carey, this is a defensive lineman. He has scheduled his officials out of IMG. I really like this guy. I'd be very happy to have him with us. He's scheduled quite a few officials, though. Georgia, Ohio State, Auburn, Florida, Bama, USC, and Rutgers. You heard that right. One of these things is not like the other. Preston Carey must have an uncle that works at Rutgers or something, but love to have him in the class. There's not a ton of top-tier guys Ohio State's after that are in the middle of the line outside of Aiden Harris, who's going to be an interior guy, I think. But, I think that ship has kind of sailed with Aiden Harris. And then you got Pierre Dean, who's just a baller. We talked about PJ Dean, and there are teams, this guy's so good on both sides of the ball, that are recruiting him for offensive line, teams recruiting him for defensive line. I was under the impression for a long time that this was a Tyler Bowen recruitment, and it was. He offered him. But now it seems like Ohio State would prefer him on the defensive line. What kind of baller do you got to be to have both the offensive and the defensive line coach at Ohio State after you? Kirby in Georgia won him on the defensive line. Kirby has his older brother in the program. So much like Blaine Womack, whose brother's at LSU was after him. He spurned LSU and his brother. Could we see that 2 times in one class? I think it would be pretty amazing to see 2 little brothers who have a brother at LSU and Georgia leave the South to come up to Ohio State, man. How cool would that be? Let's take a look. All right, on to quarterback. You know that I love Jet Tamala. Jet Tamala out of Nebraska. And Jet, 6'5", 200 pounds. I thought he was really underrated. Bucks were after him. And then, boom, the kid commits to Iowa State right after visiting Ohio State. Billy Fessler was going to go watch him throw. Well, the word was Billy was still going to go watch him throw. This week, he gets himself an invitation to the big Elite 11, like the one with just 11, not a regional, an actual Elite 11. And then I really got excited. And then I read what he said after that. Asked about which schools have been in contact, just trying to make conversations in a relationship. Alabama, Ohio State, I feel like they would offer me later on. I would not be open to that. I want to stick with Iowa State because of the relationships. So, sounds like Jet Tamala is off our board if he's really sincere about what he's saying there. Then we got a couple other guys that are committed to other places who have popped up on the board here recently, potentially. you've got a Louisville commit, and you've got a Michigan State commit. And buddy, I got to tell you, I really like this Sparty commit. So the Louisville kid is Briggs Cherry. Briggs Cherry out of the Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which we've talked about often recently. That is David Gabriel George, the running back of 2027, who I think is just probably the best one in the class. He's out of that school. This is Max LeBlanc's school. That's where Briggs Cherry is the quarterback. 6'4", 3-star, number, 44th ranked quarterback in the class. Then you got Cade Kaufman, and I think Jonathan Smith has got himself another one here. Cade Kaufman, 4-star, number 22 quarterback in the country. This dude is a straight baller. Let's just watch a few minutes of him. If Ohio State came out of this class, which again, this is a really difficult class to get a good quarterback in because you're sandwiched in between Tavian St. Clair, the number 2 quarterback in the class, and Brady Edmonds, the number 465 quarterback in the class, according to 247 now. Both 6'4", 6'5" studs with cannon arms. Who wants to go in between those two guys? Like, I don't care how confident you are in yourself. That's just a ton of competition when you can go somewhere else that, you'll be the big dog. And, to be quite honest, this dude would probably be great at Michigan State too. I'd like to have this kid if anything else doesn't pop up here soon. But you got to get somebody, man. Somebody's got to crack. All right, let's get to a couple of your comments here. Jucks by Fitty says, Juck, what areas do you think we can be better at this year than last year, if any? Obviously, a lot still to be seen. So right now, I think that most people would agree right off the rip, tight end, right? Tight end, you bring in our guy Max, and all of a sudden, who'd you swap out? You swapped out G for Max Clare. Like, that's an immediate upgrade. And then everybody else in the room just got a year older, and you added Nate Roberts. I think that is pretty blatantly obvious that tight end, without a doubt, better than 2024. Linebacker, could that be a possibility? Is it a possibility? Like Cody, great linebacker, but Cody played with Sonny year 1 at linebacker. How much improvement is Sonny going to make from year 1 to year 2 at linebacker? Then you add in Arvell in his second year playing the position. And that, with Peyton Pierce as your kicker, maybe a little Riley Pettijohn doing some stuff, I think there's potential there for that to be an upgrade. Definitely not safety. Could corner be better? I think so. Nah, never mind. I don't know. Look, we could talk about it. You guys let me know in the comments. Could corner be better? I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, right? Could offensive line be better? Running back won't be better. Quarterback, that's not going to be better, I don't think. It would be great if it was. Be a hell of a surprise. Can the offensive line be better? It can be better than the offensive line that finished the season, right? And they won the national championship. Can it be better than the offensive line that started the season with the Remington Award-winning center, the first-round left tackle? Ethan Onyanwa, I mean, like, honestly, the guy has first-round potential if he really puts a great season together, for sure. Are you going to get another lineman that's going to be that caliber? It's interesting, man. It's an interesting thought process. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I'm just ripping this off the cuff here, but I think for sure you can say tight end. And I think, like, I wouldn't be surprised if linebacker as a room was better as well. Mark 8337 says, I don't understand why Michigan and Ohio State people hate each other so much. And to be honest, as a neutral person in regard to that, I see it mostly with OSU people towards Michigan. Why? Life is too short. Mark. He's wearing a Wisconsin hat, by the way. I get it. You don't get it. As weird as it sounds, some of us like the hate, man. Hate's okay. I don't hate anybody individually one-on-one. I don't hate Michigan fans when I'm talking to them one-on-one. But as a group, whether you're walking into a stadium or see them in a bar, whatever it is, man, the seething feeling I feel inside my chest, it feels good. As to why that is, boy, there's a long history. We're not going to get into that today. Merce says, watching college football. Man, look, the only reason I'm reading this is because, guys, look, the Bill Belichick situation, right? So Belichick, I did a whole video on this. Matter of fact, I'm just going to post that whole video after this show. I'm going to post it, and you guys can watch it or not. I posted it on my other channel, JUCK on College Football, because it's not really Ohio State related. But I'll go ahead and post it on here too, on JUCK on Bucks, just if you want to take a look at it. But I was on this show on draft night number 1, right? Thursday night. So I'm on this show, College Football Express, and there's a lawyer, and the lawyer comes on, and he's a North Carolina guy, and the whole show turned into be like about Belichick and this girlfriend and how mad people are about it. And that was before this creepy interview came out that we just saw. But Mertz says, watching College Football Express and Juck's obnoxious reaction to the one-man wrecking crew, Mason Graham, picked by my Brownies, was so distracting when I was trying to be laser focused on the random attorney as he gave a generational dissertation of trademark laws as it applies to the University of North Carolina and Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Juck, just because this random attorney picked the draft night panel, didn't know who Travis Hunter was, does not mean you can disrespect him. So what he's saying there is I was watching the draft and the Browns made the trade and picked Mason Graham. Was it when they picked Mason Graham or when they made the trade? It was when they made the trade. I was happy about the Mason Graham pick, and I put my arms up like this as this guy was apparently talking, and that was rude. He's telling me I'm rude. He's telling me I was rude to do that. I thought he was rude to keep going on about that in the middle of the draft. Like, nobody wants to hear about this. We're talking about football here. TBT, the best damn. That's Chad. That's my buddy Chad. Hey, Chad, what's up? Chad says, you're usually in tune on stuff, man, and your comments about the Steelers getting Jack and Will and why that can't be us couldn't ring more true. I was so mad. I don't understand why the Browns just can't get it right. Chad changed his avatar, so I didn't even recognize him. That's my buddy Chad. Man, it hurts. Doesn't it hurt? And here's the thing. Totally disregarded as I'm talking about the Cardinals yesterday. The Cardinals have 7 Buckeyes now on their roster. 7. The Browns also have 7. So most in the league, the Browns and the Cardinals. The Bengals now have 1 with Seth McLaughlin. The Steelers, I think, have 4 or 5. But AFC North should just own Ohio State players. Like, it should. I always think you would be better off just drafting more Buckeyes. It's just the way I feel about it. And I think they proved me right in the NFL. So anyway, that's what we got today, guys. Appreciate you so much. I had some more stuff to get to, but I've gone on too long now. And I got to get rolling. So I'll talk to you later. JUCK and Bucks out.